Welcome to the Cover Your Assets podcast, a show for the physician who understands the importance of protecting everything you've worked so hard to achieve. If you're ready to find the peace of mind that only financial security can bring, let's get started. Here's your host, Billy Gwaltney.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Cover Your Assets podcast. In this episode, I will be going over the quote email summary that I have sent to a resident or fellow physician who is eligible for Guardian's guaranteed standard issue private specialty disability coverage. I work with thousands of physicians across the country, helping them secure their private specialty disability coverage. When they buy in training, there are discounts that they're eligible for. Typically, and there are 4 top tier carriers that I've covered in other episodes. I'm an independent broker, thousands of clients. We have clients with all these carriers. We have clients on claim. They all get paid. It does what it's supposed to do if you do it right. Typically, medical screening is required for trainees. Now, that process is easier for trainees than typically an attending, because an attending would have to do what's called an insurance physical, where they do labs and measurements and so forth, and they waive that for trainees, but they're still typically answering 25 or 30 medical questions and doing a script check, and things can be excluded, they can be declined. So you want to be relatively healthy-ish when you go into that process. Every now and then, one of the top tier carriers will want to move the needle from a growth standpoint. And the quickest and fastest and easiest way to do that is to offer everything that they normally offer, which is the best definitions and significant trainee discounts, the same non-cancelable and guaranteed renewable insurance contract, identical definitions, and just completely waive the medical screening component of it. And Guardian has done that over the last year or two. So depending on the program where you are, some programs are newer than others. There's no law that requires any insurance carrier to waive the medical screening. It's just an internal decision that they make when they're ready to kind of turn on the spigot and increase the growth, increase the water flow. There will be a point when enough water has been dispensed that they will turn that spigot back down. And they do that by reinstating the medical screening requirement and getting rid of the guaranteed standard issue. That will likely happen at some point. We don't know when. Again, there's no regulatory requirement. Congress can't pass a law saying, hey, this is when you need to do this. And they pick certain locations, training institutions, where they will allow these discounts and they will allow this medical screening to be waived. And if you have a quote from me with details about what your coverage can look like and what the discounted rate would be, that means you're currently at a facility where you don't have to go through the medical screening and you're eligible for the guaranteed standard issue, or GSI. It's advisable to take advantage of this as soon as you can. It just is, because once you get it, they can never take it away from you. If you wait too long, there's no guarantee that it'll be here, until your last day of training. If you move and go to a different location, there's no guarantee that it'll be there. It is at select locations. And often there's no rhyme or reason as to how they pick those. Okay. So this is an example you see on your screen if you're watching on video, or I'll go through the email you've received if you have it and you're just listening. It's both graded and level rates for Guardian's guaranteed standard issue, their discounted specialty own occupation disability coverage. There's no medical screening required for this coverage. The key thing to understand is there's one deal killer for this, and that is if you've applied for disability insurance with any other carrier besides Guardian. Okay. If you've applied for medical screening coverage or another guaranteed issue policy with some other company that says they're offering that, then you can no longer apply for the guaranteed issue if it was available to you when you applied with the other carrier. That's a deal killer. There's no exception. They will not make exceptions. So the barrier to entry has never been this low. Number one, you have to be employed where you're in training, where they have the guaranteed issue located or available. Number two, you cannot be currently disabled. And number three, you cannot have applied for disability insurance with another carrier. If you meet that criteria, then you're eligible for this. Okay. The quotes are based on the trainee amounts of coverage that they allow people to purchase. Depending on where you are in training, you're eligible for $5,000 a month. You could be eligible for up to $7,500 if you're a fellow or if you're a resident in your last year of training. We typically I'll send the $5,000 a month to give you an idea of something to look at least a starting point. There's no law that requires you to start at $5,000, so you could start at $3,750. Depending on if you're in your last year of residency or a fellow, you can go as low as $3,750. If you're a resident and not in your last year of residency, then you can go as low as $2,500 and still have what's called the benefit purchase rider added to the policy. Okay. So there's certain parameters where you need to start at a certain level of initial benefit in order to have the benefit purchase rider added to your policy. The benefit purchase rider is really important because it lets you scale up or increase coverage when you become an attending without having to do any additional medical screening or ever. You haven't done it to begin with, but you don't have to do any more either. And that's key to have included. All right. So this guaranteed standard issue insurance coverage will allow you to ultimately purchase up to $15,000 a month of coverage. Okay. All without any medical screening, all with the trainee discount included. So what I've shown here to Sarah in this example and would be in yours as well, is $5,000 a month of initial benefit. And that's the second option. That's the kind of the starting point for most people. The first option is a lower amount. It either will show $3,750 or $2,500, depending on your situation. And then you see the different rates based on the elimination period of either 90 days or 180 days, and with or without this thing called COLA. Okay. So the elimination period, further down in the email, I explain this. This is how long you wait or self-insure from the date the disability occurs until you get the first benefit check. Okay. So if you are disabled in January, you're going to get your first check in either April or July. Okay. The benefit period would pay you up to age 65. All right. So this is considered long-term disability that would pay you up to age 65 after you meet this initial elimination period of 90 or 180 days. If you start at 90 days, you can drop back to 180 at any point in the future. You cannot do the reverse. Okay. So if you start at 180, you cannot improve it to 90. But if you start at 90, you can drop it back to 180. The second variable here is the COLA, C-O-L-A, and this is an inflation adjustment that increases the benefit once a claim is filed to offset the impact of inflation. So it's going to increase it by 3% every year you're on claim, and it's going to compound. So if you're in your 30s and going to collect till 65, it would be nice to have an inflation offset. It's not required to have it. So we show the 180 or 90-day elimination period with and without the cost of living included. Now, again, if you start with the COLA, you can remove that in the future. You cannot do the opposite. So if you start without it, you cannot add it. If you start with it next week or a decade or 20 years later, if you decide you want to take it off, it's easy to do that. Okay. Now, the other variable here, or decision point, is this graded versus level premium. Guardian offers their fixed rate that starts at in this example here, I'll just pick the 180 without COLA rate of 168, excuse me, my eyesight is betraying me, but 168 is the level rate, or you can choose to pay 102 per month as a graded or increasing premium starting point. Now, in the insurance world, it's important to understand that there's no free lunch. There just simply isn't. There's no way around paying the rate. Whatever the rate is, that's what you're ultimately going to pay at a minimum. So when an insurance carrier comes along and says, hey, our discounted rate for you as a trainee And this person, I don't have their age in front of me, is to a female physician who asked for rates. It's going to vary depending on your specialty, depending on your gender, depending on what state you are in. That's really only going to matter if you're in California or versus any other state. But this number fixed rate would be different depending on your specialty, your age, and your gender primarily. For this situation, she would pay $168 a month for a level rate. That is by far the least expensive way to pay for this. It's a fixed rate from the date she starts until age 65. Okay. An alternative is starting lower with an increasing rate annually. Okay. And it's going to continue to increase over as she gets older. And it's going to increase to the point where it's going to make sense for her to switch, which she can switch at any time, over to a level rate. The catch is that when she switches over to a level rate, it'll be based on her age at that time, not her age now. Okay, so if she's 30 now and the rate's 168, then when she becomes and she starts at 102 and she at 35 wants to switch to the level rate, she won't pay 168. She'll pay, I don't know, 210. She'll pay something higher than 168 because it's based on her age at the time she does it. Okay. So again, there's no free lunch. You exchange a cheaper rate now while you're in training in exchange for overpaying when you're an attending. Okay. So over the course of a 30-year career, the most economical approach will always be the level rate. That's the bottom line. So that's what I say here. Important note, Guardian offers a graded premium that starts off lower but increases every year. Then when you switch over to the level level rate, it's higher than it would have been had you started with the level from day one. Bottom line, the graded premium is cheaper upfront in exchange for paying more in the future. Totally a personal call, but I don't want you to get kind of lured into this lower rate here thinking that that's a better deal when in the long run, it's not. Okay. The second part of this are the definitions. So there's the amount of coverage you can get with the discounted rates depending on the elimination period, the COLA option, and the level and the graded rate. The second part is what are you getting? This is portable private specialty coverage that includes the maximum trainee discount. It is going to vary with Guardian depending on your specialty of either 20 or 30%. And that remains for the life of the policy. This coverage includes the true specialty own occupation definition of disability that says two things. One, it means that if you cannot, due to an illness or injury, if you cannot do the material duties of your specialty or subspecialty, then you get your full benefit. That's the first part. The second part is that you can then work in a different job, make an unlimited income, and not impact your disability benefit at all, and you collect both. Okay, you get your full benefit. And so if you are practicing in a clinic, you hurt your back, you can't get out of bed, you can no longer do your specialty in a clinic setting, you would collect your full benefit. Okay, you can then do telemedicine from home and make an unlimited income, and there's no penalty to your benefit. Okay, so it's the best definition you can get. All right. The second key element is called the enhanced partial benefit, and this is for partial disabilities. If you suffer a 15% or more loss of income because you can do your specialty part-time, but you can't do it full-time, the illness or injury prevents you from doing it with the same level of productivity and the same amount of, you can't do the duties as long and as frequent as you were doing them before, then whatever the percentage loss of income you experience, you would get that percentage of your benefit. This is vital. Okay, so it's not all or nothing. The third key element is called the long-term recovery benefit, and this is really important. It pays if you medically recover from a disability and go back to work, but when you go back to work, your income does not recover to what it was before you were disabled, and that happens a lot. We have clients that have collected for over a decade from a recovery benefit. So what we're looking at here, I wrote a book called Disability Insurance for Physicians, and in that book, It's on Audible. You can get it on Amazon. You can listen to it or buy the paperback version or Kindle version. It's a 3-legged stool. The first one is the true specialty on occupation definition of disability if you're totally disabled. The second one is the partial disability benefit. And the third key point is the recovery benefit. If you remove one of those legs, then you can't sit on the stool, okay? It's going to, maybe a corny analogy, but it's applicable here. If it's a deal killer to not have a recovery benefit. It's a deal killer to have everything but no partial benefit. And I've seen that with people that the devil's in the details. Maybe the broker didn't tell them or the broker didn't know or whatever it was, where you want to make sure that you have all 3 of these on there. And this guaranteed standard issue offer does have that, again, if you do it right. If and when you're interested, the next step is you fill out an intake form. Is some personal information that Guardian requires. You do that electronically, probably take you 10 minutes. And then you e-sign the application and then allow for 2 or 3 weeks for them to process it, and that's it. No medical questions, no medical screening, no script check, none of that. You still sign a HIPAA as part of the application, but they will not do any medical background check on your situation. So you would be getting the policy. Everything's delivered electronically. It'd probably take 2 or 3 weeks. We would get that to you right away, and then you sign for it, and you pay the initial premium from that point forward, and then you're all set, okay? Again, this offer will go away if you apply somewhere else first. That's the first quick PS here, okay? You got to get the GSI first. They don't want leftovers. The second PSS, is that who your broker is really matters. This is important. Guardian asked me to be one of their brokers for this coverage at your facility. And I don't work for Guardian. They're not my employer. I'm independent. I work with the other carriers as well. But anytime one of the top carriers allows you to get their best coverage without any medical screening, it's a no-brainer. And the broker is important because we help you not only get this situated and make sure you have the right definitions and the right discount and you don't answer the medical questions, but also as you increase coverage, helping you determine and run the numbers to calculate how much you're eligible for based on your attending salary up to the cap of $15,000. And then God forbid you ever have to file a claim or use this stuff, the broker can be as involved as you want us to be. And that's important. We've been able to get people approved that were initially denied because they tried it on their own and didn't know what they were doing. The details matter. These carriers are excellent, but they have experience at claims you don't. And if you've never done it and you don't know what to tell them and you're not sure who your friend is and you're nervous and anxious, it's a very difficult time when someone is disabled. And so having someone with experience and expertise and that these companies know and like, that's a key part of this. So it's buyer beware. Make sure you get this right when you do it. So that's the other key point. I'd be happy to discuss your situation. Just wanted to go over this with you as a quick summary. Happy to discuss with you this Guardian Guaranteed Standard issue. I look forward to the opportunity to do that. You can text me at 704-270-2376. Again, 704-270-2376. I look forward to hopefully hearing from you. Thank you for your time. I'm grateful for that. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Cover Your Assets podcast, an Odd Conduit media production. New episodes drop every 2 weeks. If you've enjoyed the conversation, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. For more tips and advice, visit the website and YouTube channel. Check the show notes for links. Join us next time for another episode dedicated to helping physicians like you get your disability insurance right and protect your way of life.